here are so kind. I feel very safe here. It's a little sad that I had to leave my country to feel safe, but that will get better eventually.
Wow. Okay, friends, let me read this one to you. Sad. DM Dylan Mulvaney or Dilly, the TikTok influencer, flees to Peru and complains that she or he, what's going on here, no longer feels safe in the US after budlight fiasco. Trans influencer frolics with llamas and hires a shaman. Wow. Make it make sense. We're going to listen to the video here because Dilly has something to say and I'm going to respond and react as well. Yeah. You're not safe in the US? My goodness. We are so transphobic, aren't we? Let's take a listen to this.
Hi, is this an okay time? Okay, surprise. I'm in Peru and I'm at Machu Picchu. Isn't this just so beautiful? I'm here by myself and I used to do a ton of solo traveling. I'm telling you, it's the best. If you could ever do a solo trip somewhere, it is such a good way to get to know yourself better. But I came here to feel something. You know what I mean? And I definitely have. I've done shaman ceremonies that were like 10 years worth of therapy. It was wild. I've seen a lot of llamas. And the people here are so kind. I feel very safe here. It's a little sad that I had to leave my country to feel safe, but that will get better eventually.
Wow.
This is difficult for me to say.
To be honest, I don't think trans people are under attack in a way that some people think. I think there's a pushback, and the pushback is happening because this ideology is reaching out toward children, and parents are very concerned, and even businesses are paying the price. That's the level of pushback, but the pushback is not so much against the individual. It's more like the extreme side of the movement is what people really have an issue with. So, and again, there isn't enough stats to prove that the United States is out. People in the United States are out to persecute trans people. I can't see it. I haven't seen it. There's no research or studies done showing that trans people are being persecuted or killed because of the fact they're trans in the United States. That's not really happening. Now, a person could get in trouble or experience death just because you exist in a world of sin and there's trouble happening all over the place. That doesn't necessarily mean this happening because you are trans. That's like an extreme. And to impose that and to propose such an argument, you have to tell me a lot more than that.
That doesn't make any sense.
You really had to leave the United States to feel safe? I'm not surely sure if that even is true. But again, I mean, if we are not loving and kind enough in this country for as much as we've adapted and given and turned over backward, fighting for freedom and gay rights and LGBTQIA plus persons, if we are not tolerant enough in this country, I don't know if there's any other country in the world who is as tolerant as the United States is when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community. So if you don't feel safe here, boy, I don't know what to tell you. This is really, really bad.
And I am dying for some Trader Joe's rolled chili lime chips. But other than that, I am so content. Still haven't been kissed yet, but I'm holding out hope.
Okay. Good luck with that. And I hope you find love and happiness wherever it is that the journey takes you. But I don't know what to say to that. How about we keep moving?
And most of all, you know, this trip has me feeling like I'm my own best friend again.
Your own best friends again. Is that a possibility that you are your own best friends? How do you do that? I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious here, but I'm really having a hard time understanding how are you your own best friend? Because you are one individual. Is it possible to split yourself in two and become in love on yourself? I mean, it's one thing to have positive self-image. It's one thing to have self-care. I get that. But is it possible to be your own best friends? I don't know. Maybe I'm too old school for this analogy.
And that is the best feeling in the world. And I hope that you feel that way about yourself too. And I love ya. Okay. Bye.
All right, Dilly is gone. Dilly has moved to Peru. I don't know how long, but this is what's going on with Dilly right now. Dilly doesn't feel safe. I don't know why Dilly doesn't feel safe. We live in the United States, the most tolerant country in the world. Actually, I'm going to share something with you guys that's part of my missionary foundation for missionary studies, cross-cultural missionary studies. And in that research, what has been shown is that, let's put a little music on, is that the United States is actually very tolerant. In most cases, we value individuality above everything else. This is known as the Hofstede culture analysis. Hofstede, somebody might call it. Hofstede culture analysis is known as the sixth cultural dimension. What this tells you is that in every culture, there are some factors that you kind of need to understand about them. If you plan on doing ministry there, relating to the people somehow, even with business, right? Understanding this in a particular culture could help you to, appeal to that culture, whether it is a business model, whether it is ministry purpose, whether it is even political influence. All of that could be used with the Hofstede six cultural dimension analysis. Number one is that power distance is the attitude of a culture toward power and inequality in the distance between lowest level of society and highest level of society. So this knowing what is to be accepted and allowed, knowing how far you can go in that culture matters. Secondly is individualism and collectivism, right? The degree of independence and independence of a person in society, masculinity and femininity, three, masculinity trait, and this is according to the the model that we're talking about is competition, achievement, and success as far as men, but women have theirs as well, which is cooperation, modesty, nurture, and quality of life. Now, these things could change. Of course, we know that. Uncertainty, avoidance, it speaks about how does a society deal with uncertainty future, long-term orientation, how the culture is linked with the past, history, and tradition, and does it live more in the present moment. Now, here's another good one. Indulgence, how much does society expect people to control themselves? They're impulsive and desire. Now, I want you to highlight this because in the United States, there's a lot of models here. When you look at Mexico, they value indulgence a lot. So there's a lot of party and stuff and drinking going on in that culture. There's that, uncertainty, avoidance, all of that. Individualism is actually very low. And when you go furthermore into Kenya, if you notice, like individualism, 25%, and we have long-term orientation, indulgence, these things are barely even considered in that culture. Power distancing is another thing that matters to them. Long-term orientation, also, these are people that values their past in South Korea. So they study a lot of their historical past. They're very determined about holding on to this traditional values, indulgence. But if you look at individualism in that culture, it is very, very low. That's actually very interesting because I'm going to show you the United States. Here in the United States, look at the difference here. We have the long-term orientation, meaning we're kind of forgetting our past history. I think that's why we're acting up to a degree. A lot of what had been, we don't really learn from our history very well. And I think that's part of our problem. But here, at the same time, look at the individualism in this country. Like, this is highly valued in the United States. Like, we want people to be themselves. Like, this is how Americans think. And it's good when you study the analysis and what they're trying to discover and explain is that here in the United States, like, you want to be gay, straight, you want to worship a tree, you want to be a pagan, you want to be a Christian, you want to worship your idols and stuff. As long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you're not hurting children and families, you're not stepping on my rights, we could care less what you do. We are very loving. Oh goodness, so that beer bomb is all over the place. We are very loving and caring people. We value individualism above everything else. No other nations in the entire world value individualism to the degree that we do. So when I'm hearing Dilly talking about how he has to move out of the United States to go to Peru, I'm hoping this person is doing their homework because, yeah, they may be, when you're a terrorist and you got money, when you're a tourist, not terrorist, when you're touring these different countries and you got money, you're going to have your rights and freedom and all that. And of course, you're going to be treated like, but when you go to the average people in that community, you realize very quickly that they might not like your style. They might not adapt to your way of living. Now, Peru, I don't know the culture and everything else that's in it, so I'm just saying, like, if you're not safe in the United States as a gay or a black individual in today's world, I'm telling you, there is nowhere else for you to live. You might as well go live in a cave because, listen, man, we are very tolerant people. Now, also, I'll go as far to say that in many cases, gay and lesbian people or LGBTQIA plus persons, and this goes beyond them as well. I will say a lot of time we are looking for God in all the wrong places. When you look at these people, it seems like they're on a journey of self-discovery, right? They're consistently looking for something to make them happy. And I think that void, that emptiness, is a void that can only be filled with the presence of God. And I think these people need prayer. I don't think we need to make fun of them, making videos about them. I make those videos, but my goal is never to ridicule, because this could be me. Were it not for the grace of God, it could be me. All right. I have my own struggles. My struggles may not be as their struggles are, but I got my own and I got to deal with me. And I think it's good to understand a lot of trans people or LGBTQIA plus persons, people who are very much in this ideology, they have a loss. They have an identity crisis. They are having an issue of discovering who they are. And I think they need to figure out who they are in God, in Christ. And that message needs to be proclaimed to them. Instead of seeking love in all the wrong places, how about you give Jesus Christ a chance? You allow him to penetrate your heart, and you must also be willing to fall in line with him, because the extreme side of the thing is that sometimes people want to come to Jesus, but they're not willing to change. Christ is calling us to save us from a life of sin. He can't help you if you don't want to be helped. He can't save you if you don't want to be saved, right? And when you come to God, you must be willing to be changed and transformed into that image from glory to glory. And there goes my text. So he said, now where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, right? So we know that God alone brings liberty by his Spirit. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. So this is really what humanity is in desperate need of. And I don't want to go after the trans community as if they are the only one in need of God's mercy and grace. That's not really the case. All of us are in desperate need. Okay, so they're expressing themselves in ways that we will say, culturally speaking, we're not used to, but for the most part, we could care less. In some cases, we don't know what to do with, right? So, however, these people are in need of God's love. They're in desperate need of salvation. And I think in all their seeking and searching, with all the surgeries, and Dilly is now in Peru, they are seeking for something that is bigger than themselves. Although it sounds like contentment and joy and happiness, there's a lot of smile, but I can tell there's also emptiness, there's void, there's a hollowness going on inside, and that can only be filled with the love of God. Much more could be said, but I think really pray for these people. Pray for Dilly and Mulvaney. Pray for those trans influencers. Pray for them, because they're in desperate need of love. They really are. They have an identity crisis they're dealing with. This is bigger than money. This is bigger than ideology. You can have all the rights in the world. What's lacking in these people is the love of God. And as long as that is lacking, even if you give them the world and everything in it, they will never be happy. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. God bless you. I pray that you will keep this matter in your prayer. Once again, much more could be said. I got to take my lovely wife. It's our 8th year anniversary, man. So it's a special time and special moment indeed. Like and subscribe to the page, click the bell icon for more. Have a good one. Bye.